Hi, my name's Michael Ayling and I'm producing a review of two different types of digital stethoscopes from the same company. I did publish one the other day, but I had to tidy up a few things, so I'm remaking it. Sorry for all the people who viewed it, the 41 views and the 3 comments, but I think this will be a little bit tidier and a bit more accurate in some respects. So what I'm reviewing is the Eko digital stethoscopes, generation 1 and 2, and showing how they can be used for COVID patients. Okay, so this is the generation 1. I'll talk about that first because you can still possibly find people might have second-hand ones, or other retailers may stock them, but you don't buy that one from the website anymore. So how it works is it's a normal analog diaphragm that vibrates. Sound travels through into this amplifier, which obviously picks that up and transduces that. It both amplifies it through the earphones, and it will also transduce that into an electrical signal that can be sent via Bluetooth to your phone. It comes with a giant switch, which kept getting bumped and would turn on and run flat in my bag, but they've improved that. A volume up, a volume down switch, a little dot light, and there's a little rubber flap to plug a micro USB in to charge it. So, it's pretty good. But some of the drawbacks that people noticed, I mentioned one is that it ran flat in my bag, and it also, this rubber flap thing is really annoying to get the little protector back in place so that it closes properly. You cannot record onto your phone from the device on this version, and later on, if you need to unplug it, you have to pull the tube off, which if you do repeatedly, you could end up wearing out the tube and have to either chop it off or get a new one. So it does make it a bit long. This transducer is really quite heavy, so when you hang it over your neck, it just does this. So there are some drawbacks, but for a first go, it was a pretty good thing, and it was less than half the price of the Lidman electronic stethoscope, which only has a limited number of short recordings that you can press on the device, and then you have to go and sync it with their app and all that sort of rubbish. It's a pretty good go. So the second version they brought out, either one of them you could either buy as a kit or you can buy it as a complete stethoscope. I bought the second one just as a kit to attach to my Lidman Cardiology 3. Why didn't I do that for the first time? I don't know, you asked me. So, just with some of the accessories that come with the first one, I presume it's the same with the second. You get a spare pair of earbuds and you get a bell. So if you want to use the traditional way of listening, the bell on one side and a diaphragm on the other, you can do that. Or you can actually press harder or softer to imitate diaphragm or bell. Anyway, so then you've got a pediatric and an adult sized diaphragm. So this is the version 2. If you compare it with the size of version 1, it's much smaller. It's shorter, it's narrower, it's lighter. So the size and dimensions make it much nicer to pocket. The improvements they've made, one of the biggest improvements they've made is it's got active noise reduction from the unit inside. So if you are using it without a stethoscope, which I'll go to later on, it's got double the amount of noise reduction if you've got a noise reducing headset. But even still, just using it through the stethoscope, you've got a much better reduction of chatting and patients in bed beside you and that sort of stuff. It's got a much more defined, a better light, so you can see what's happening while searching for the app or charging. I'm told that the switch is protrudes a lot less, quite a bit less than the version 1, so it's less likely to be bumped. Moreover, if it is bumped, it actually, after a certain time, I don't know how long, it'll go into standby, so the battery won't go flat. It's also got a volume up and a volume down like the other one, but better than that, it's actually got a on the device recording. So you press that device and you'll start recording the sound, and it lacks the annoying flappy thing that covered up the micro SD port. Another final feature, which if you're going to be putting it in bags and listening to it using Bluetooth without the headset, you can unscrew it instead of pulling it off and wearing out the tube. So I'm just going to substitute in. I've recorded some sounds from my left sternal edge on my skin earlier, and I'm going to splice into this video 2 comparisons of the version 1 and then the version 2 immediately following, using either my Littmann diaphragm and headset or earplugs, or the included Eko diaphragm and headset. So just have a listen to those now. So what you'll notice on the first recording there was the quite a bit of interruption from the outside noise, and there was a bit of feedback actually coming from the iPad that I was recording on that, because I actually used a screen recording to make those images. Normally when you record the images, they upload to Eko's website, so every time you need to listen to them, you need to use the app, and you need to listen to them on the app. I don't know if you're able to drag them off their website to store them in your own format. There might be some legal concerns with that. I don't know if just audio files constitute actionable images, insofar as you might render a sound into a video like an ultrasound. That's clearly an image, but it might be a bit iffy. I don't know what those ramifications are, and I certainly don't know what they are in the US either. So having made those comparisons, the reason I made this video is because I've done a series of videos on COVID. You might have noticed that I deleted my cleaning video. I've got to actually produce a better quality one of that, so that'll come out in the next few days. That's for the 3M respirators. So what Eko have suggested, because if you're doing ward rounds and you want to listen to people's chests, I know that auscultation isn't really going to do a whole lot for you in a viral pneumonia, but patients who have a viral pneumonia also get bacterial pneumonia superimposed, or they might have pre-existing conditions, cardiac conditions, and you might want to be doing ward rounds and having to listen to them each time. So there's every reason to want to do that, but you don't want to waste PPE between every single patient and decontaminate your stethoscope every time you want to listen to someone. So what Eko have suggested, you take one snap lock bag, sandwich bag, and on their video they show them pulling off the tube like so, which it worries me how often you can get away with doing that before you need to snip it or get a new tube, which is why it's better that you can screw it onto the other kit. And then you've got this piece here. I also found, I think, subjectively, the noise entering the outside noise might have been somewhat reduced by plugging that hole with a small silicone plug. And I've got one of those containers of various size plugs that you can use to do that. So you get your snap lock bag and pop it in there. Before I do the bags, I'm just going to show you 2 different recordings of the version 1 and the version 2, not in a plastic bag. So I'm going to splice in this one on my left sternal edge, and then this one on my left sternal edge. Now, bearing in mind they're different diaphragms, so that it's not exactly apples to apples, but look, the design of a stethoscope hasn't really changed that much in well over 100 years. So have a listen to version 1 and version 2, just Bluetooth on their own. That's right. So you'll notice that they're not going to be appreciably different from listening to them with the headsets on, because they're both bypassing the headsets and going straight out. So it's essentially the same comparison you heard before, but just the only possibility is that there might be some extra outside noise coming in through that hole, because I didn't actually have the plug when I was doing the test. So that's that comparison. Now going to the bags. So what they suggest is popping it into a bag, close it, hand it to your intern, resident, nurse, if you're American, your PA or someone, I don't even know how PAs work, but anyway, hand it to them and they will pop it on the patient. You can say, put it here, put it there, take a breath, relax, etc., etc., and then they hand it back to you, or they can hand it back to you like this, and then you can take it out, give it a quick wipe down with some ISO wipe or other antimicrobial wipe to ensure there's no straggle of viral particles that have got on it. Then you can go to the next patient and repeat. It's very efficient. So the way that on the video that they've shown you is you just pop it into the bag as such and listen. But what I've noticed is that, look, I'm a bit of an ultrasound fanatic, and you see this is an generic ultrasound trolley, is if ultrasound gel will improve the transmission of ultrasound, surely it should improve the transmission of audible sound. So I'm also including a comparison of each of these on its own and without, because you've actually got an air interface between the diaphragm and the bag and the skin, or if you follow the directions on Eko's video on Facebook, the bag and the diaphragm and the bag and the flannelette shirt and the flannelette shirt and the skin. So I know we've all listened through clothes before, but I'm not sure I would put that out there as best practice. So I put a dab of gel. I'll put it down, show it now, and I'll wipe it up later. You just smear a little bit of gel on there. Pop it in the bag. Make sure that it's, like if you're doing with a probe cover, make sure you get the air bubbles out. I'm not sure it's going to make a huge difference for audible sound. So you've got a nice vibrating surface there, and then just pop a little bit of gel on that. And then subjectively, I felt that there was a better sound transmission. It might be useful anyway for men with hairy chests. Or dare I limit that to men with hairy chests? I won't go there. So I'm going to splice in now this without gel and a bag, and then this version 1 with gel in the bag. Good. So now the next one I'm going to splice in is generation 2 in a bag, no gel, followed by generation 2 in a bag with gel. So you'd have to really turn the volume up on those comparisons to get an indication. You might notice some extra deviation on the wave scale, but the waveform isn't quantitative because it's difficult for the manufacturer to know exactly what sort of decibels are reaching the iPhone, and you'd have to actually get some sort of method of recording that. So they're quite wise to not give you a quantitative scale on there, but you do get a qualitative scale, and you can use that to diagnose murmurs or to confirm a diagnosis of a murmur, more to the point. But just to demonstrate on this one, the on-device recording feature. So I'll turn it on. It's automatically going to look for the generation 1 that I had recorded before, so I'll find it again. There it is. Pop it on my heart. I'm just going to do that again so I can see the recording button. Okay, I'll do that again. Just delete that. Put my finger over the button this time so I don't lose it. There you go. So then I can save that, or I can delete that. You can also, I'll delete that. If I connect it again, you can also show where you are on the heart. Here. No, that's the patient's. Oh, there you go. That button there, and then you can say which region of which valve area you're listening to, which is also quite handy if you want to be documenting that. Now, I've had patients in my anaesthetic clinic when I've heard a murmur, and I've wanted them to go back to their doctor, and sometimes the patient weren't the type that was going to be able to communicate what I wrote. So I just sent the patient the link or sent the doctor the link, and then they can just listen to it online as before listening to it themselves. So it's quite handy. A few thoughts on using the Bluetooth technique. Look, I think it's great to be able to listen to someone from a distance, but there are some limitations, some that Eko may resolve and some that I don't think they can resolve. The first one is the limitation of Bluetooth technology. It currently just isn't fast enough. Anybody with a digital piano like a Clavinova will know that they come with a wired earphone connection, not a Bluetooth, because you will get a delay between the keystroke and the sound, and that's just not acceptable. Likewise, if you are not using this in an infectious situation, you're just using it every day, you can't time a murmur with the pulse because the delay is too strong. So that's a limitation, which honestly, unless the heart rate's really very quick, you can normally tell when systole and diastole are anyway. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. They have another model called the Core Duo, which you'll just see a picture of in just a sec. It'll flash up. There you go. So it's a device about the size of an Apple TV remote that you place over the patient's chest, and that gives you one lead ECG. So you can time a rhythm with the electrical systole and diastole, and although electrical and ventricular systole are slightly also delayed, no, they're not as delayed as they are with a Bluetooth radio transmission. But then that's not something you can do with infectious patients because the Core Duo doesn't have the Bluetooth piggybacking. You can only Bluetooth to the device, but then you have to use a wired connection from the phone. I don't know why. So that's one limitation. Another limitation is no matter what kind of earphone you use, there's a bit of static. Version 1 and version 2, and Eko said that they're dealing with that, and I think that's something they will be able to resolve in time with the appropriate electrical filters applied. Now Eko said they've tested it with AirPods and with AirPods Pro. I've got these ridiculous ear canals. They're so narrow, I can't put any buds in them. So I went shopping for the AirPods Pro thinking they might be different to any other earbud, and they weren't. They fell out right away, or as soon as I opened my mouth. I then went and tried and took them back, and I tried some Sony earbuds that are wireless, and I had to really screw them in and ended up getting an otitis externa. So while I was not using any earbuds and putting some Sofradex drops in, I used a Bose QC35, a Quiet Control 35, full-on noise reducing headset. I don't have it here with me, it's just in my bag in the other room. Frankly, I can't be bothered getting it, but it's a headset. That was really good, excellent, twice as good because that's got active noise reduction. I really wanted a noise reducing headset as well, because I tried to use that first with the Generation 1. Now, all that really did was just amplify everything that came out of the Generation 1 and cut out outside noise that would get in through the headset, but amplified the outside noise that was getting in through the device. So that wasn't really much good. I actually ended up settling for this Beats Pro. And you can see it there appearing on the iPad as soon as I've opened it. It wants to display. I'm not going to take it out and put it in my ear, because when I did that with the first draft of this video, it silenced everything because it connected to my phone. So I'll just shut that, and they just clip onto my ear really quite nicely, and they just sit on the outside of the canal, and they don't push right in. They're very comfortable. They don't have noise reduction, but they are quite isolating. So, and they're very good, and you can run with them. So all of them have that static, but that will get better. So look, I think it's really convenient if you just have this and this in your pocket. And fortunately in the US you still have white coats, so you have pockets, or if these days more and more people are wearing scrubs, so you can put them in your pockets and carry them around. Actually, I don't even bother using it with this anymore, because it's a pain to carry around. And as you know, this earpiece on stethoscopes for the last, when did I finish? Since 1997, and before when I was a student, it just catches on everything. It's a pain. So this is really quite good, and I like being able to record the sounds. So hopefully that's been useful to you. Hopefully you've found a way that might be easy to listen to patients' chests from a distance. And if those who are hearing impaired and don't get enough volume, you might just get amplification enough so that you can do that. Look, I did try them, another headset. I tried it with my bone conducting headset, which I'm going to do a review on later. And look, bone conducting headsets aren't really aren't at that standard. You really can only use them for interpersonal communication or for podcasting, spoken word, and just background music. But for auscultation, I wouldn't use them with the bone conducting headsets. And on the matter of bone conducting headsets and hearing impaired people, they currently do not connect to hearing aids. Not from the stethoscope anyway, but I'm giving to understand that having looked through the settings of the Apple iPhone might be able to connect with some hearing aids. So if that works, that's great. If your bone conduction's fine, but if your analog conduction isn't, if you've got your sensory neural's fine, hearing loss, but if you've got some physical hearing loss, otherwise, look, they're a great step forward, and it's great to see the design of a medical piece of kit that hasn't really been updated in 200 years receive just an update. So I hope that helps, and let me know what you think in the comments.